don't realize that the success of my videos probably comes from more the planning than the actual execution. Like I wouldn't say like I'm a particularly amazing vlogger at all. I would say like I'm average, but it's like I'm very good at planning and researching and coming up with the video ideas, and that all happens in Bali in my base.
That's a really good point, and like interesting thing to dig into is it's not constant traveling, and it sounds like everything is pretty well planned out ahead of time. And so what does it look like on a 2-week trip? Like how does that on a day-to-day basis? Are you editing videos or are you just recording content?
So it's changed over the time. Usually when I first started, I was basically doing everything. Now I treat it like I'm almost like an athlete, where I'm basically just only creating content and everything else is trying to be outsourced. So I will usually take off like 1 to 2 months. Sounds like a lot, but I'm obviously doing a lot of work in that time. And then 2 weeks of very, very like hard travel, not hard travel, like a very quick, fast-paced travel. Yeah. Like changing cities every few days. Just not all. The only time I spend on my laptop is either putting the footage on the laptop or maybe doing a little bit of research. I don't do any editing. I try and do no other work. It's literally just like sleep, create content, go to the gym, sleep, create content, go to the gym, and just consistently for 2 weeks, grab all the content I can, go back to my base. So it's like I sprint and then I rest like an athlete. Sprint, rest, sprint, rest. Definitely obviously needs some tweaking. Like sometimes, like my last trip I went overboard and did 3 weeks in America, so it's like not a bad place to do it. But the last week I was just like not making much content at all, because it's just like there's only so much you can do it, and then you just like absolutely burnt out. Yeah, because I'm an introvert and I'm doing an extroverted job, so it tires me out more than anyone. And in America more than anything, because I was taking advantage of everyone speaking English. So I was going up to so many people on a daily basis, and it just absolutely exhausted me. So after 2 weeks, I was ready for Bali. But yeah, it's constantly learning, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I really like the training like an athlete thing. We talked about how Chris Williams does his podcast when you were giving me some advice, and he focuses on the different components that go into making a good podcast, from vocal coaching to ruthlessly going through his film and doing tweaks on himself. And so same thing for you is what's the most important for any athlete is rest. And how do you balance that? Because it quickly could become exhausting, as it did in America.
And my content would be very average if I was consistently traveling, which some content creators do, I think. I don't know for sure, but I think some of them are just constantly on the road. Yeah. And it's like there's only so much you can make the content as quality if you're doing that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think the perception, I obviously know because I'm close to you and Mac and Luke and other travel bloggers, but the perception is that there's always a constant travel, and there's always it's not necessarily on purpose, but
that's just because I'm trying to constantly feed the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I have like everything outsourced.
And also, if you have an audience, you want to keep them engaged, right? Exactly. And so you produce, you're on timelines, and it's professional and everything.
Yeah, people don't see the behind the scenes things. Like if there are like I got this all from Luke and Mac. Is like I'm posting on Facebook every single day of the year. I'm posting on TikTok every single day of the year.
Wow.
Instagram every single day of the year. But I'm not touching a thing. It's all outsourced. And so obviously it looks like I'm consistently traveling, but that's because I create a backlog, I film all the content, and then send it to my editor, and then there's a whole process. But that's the behind the scenes that people don't see. But it's a proper operation.
Complete operation. Yeah. And how many folks do you have on your team right now?
I have 1,000, mainly working in a Chinese factory. No,
producing shoes.
Yeah.
Apologies.
I'm going to hell. 2 full-time, and then a couple on a project-by-project basis. Yeah. I'm in the process of hiring or looking for a another. I call them superstars because my 2 full-time guys. I'm going to shout them out, Joseph and Sheen, because they are incredible, absolute geniuses at what they do, and I couldn't do anything without them. So that's why I say two superstars, and then I have multiple people doing thumbnails and stuff. But this is something that I really try and follow, is outsource everything that I am not the best at, and like really push myself, especially with the editing. Try and outsource that because it's such a time consumer, so I can just focus on, like we talked about earlier, the one thing, which is creating content, thinking of video ideas.
That's so good to, and is that something that you can do from early on? Because I imagine the early stages, it's quite hard to do that because you kind of, you probably can't afford all of this, but you kind of got to get there. And then once you can afford, if you could only afford one like position, it sounds like it'd probably be a superstar, but like what would be the most important for you?
The editor, yeah, because that just frees up time, and obviously time is money. Like time will allow you to work on so many other things. I think there is definitely some value in editing your own videos to start off with, for multiple reasons. Just like being able to do editing is good, but also just knowing what to cut and stuff. Like if people saw the way I cut my videos, I move things chronologically around. People think that my videos aren't chronological, and it looks chronological. But sometimes I'll move something from the end of the video to the start of the video because I'm wearing the same clothes, so people don't realize. And it's all about creating the storyline. So that's why I would say learning editing is good to start off with, but that's a great skill to outsource because it's really not something that you need to be doing it. It's like being a YouTuber, you could be doing like 10 different jobs, but actually, like when you think of a YouTuber, you think of an influencer, creator, like not an editor or thumbnail designer.
No, yeah, it's a personality that you create and this brand that you create, and so yeah, getting out of the way.
But then also people don't, and this is definitely not for like beginners, but more medium creators who are maybe earning a reliable income. Then the next thing is the assistant, which I think so many creators don't get because they're like, I used to think, who needs an assistant? Like, there's not really that needed. But then as soon as I got it, it's just changed everything. Like, I literally would not be able to do it without it.
Oh, they're incredible. And what are the best time savers that your assistant has given you?
Well, running my TikTok, running my Facebook, running my Instagram, so I don't even have to open them, which is just like nice. He now runs my email inbox, so like I hate writing emails. It's really like not a task I enjoy. So having that, and then he's also talking to the brands, so it's just like I talk to the brands through him. It's just very nice. So I'm basically just voice noting the brands in a way because I voice note him and he then types that up. What else? Researching video ideas with me. We go through video ideas and then I'm at the point where I can be like, okay, I'm going to New York tomorrow. Can you find me like a interesting activity to do in New York? And then he'll reach out to like 10 of those activity providers, and then one will say yes, and I'll do that for free. So saving time, money, and yeah, it's brilliant.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, it's so wonderful when you have people who, it also sounds like he's very on to the mission of Harry Jaggard as well, and he knows what you want, knows what you like, and you're able to speak to each other and run with ideas.
Yeah. Like hiring is not easy, for sure. You gotta try before you buy. You gotta test out a few. I'm not talking about ladyboys.
Nope.
It's not easy, but like I would say people who wanted to find an editor or assistant, just do trials with multiple, and it's a consistent. You do have to teach them, but I've been working with my guys for pretty much the whole time I've been making YouTube videos, like nearly 1 to 2 years. So it's after 2 years, it's working seamlessly, but it wasn't at the start.
Yeah, there's patience in knowing what to say no to. It sounds like, yeah.